Choo-choo. Yeah, it's not really the name, of course. No, the name would be without the WLR. Just including that. Hey, Maya. Thanks, man. Or girl. So, what is the other one called? WLR output. Other one. I have loads of them. I guess this one. Frame. Okay, the ones that I'm using. Frame, request state, and destroy. This is going to be generated in the end. But even when generating it, I feel that it is easier to use a macro. Could of course generate this directly. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, certainly now it's easier to write. Yeah, I went out of my way to write a long description for this video. So if you scroll down and you read it, and you have at least a little bit of an idea what I'm doing, I guess, or working on. I don't think it is possible, however. It's going to be required that I use at least one macro, where the signal name is just passed, and then the macro is going to use it in different ways. My makefile is generated. I can show you what I use to generate it with. I'm just using CMake. This is my CMake list.txt file that generates the makefile, basically. Nothing very interesting. Well, that's the one in this directory anyway. I have to think, let me think. The user would be writing this, right? And I want to be able to, well, we need this. Before that was WLR underscore output. So if you can type that, then you can type this. And then this is the C++ version. And then once you typed that, you might as well use that same thing to declare the callbacks. So the callbacks now are that same type, followed by the name of the signal. And then I could remove this part if I wanted. But yeah, I just tag this on to, I don't know. It would be shorter if I leave this out. Just define frame directly as the event type. That wouldn't read correctly, I think. It isn't even passing a frame. I mean, that would, at the very least, it would look weird because frame by itself doesn't look like a type to me. And if you would consider it to be a type, because it has to be a type, of course, this is a type, and then you get the argument, then it looks like what is being passed is a frame, right? But that's not it. It's the event type of the frame signal, which can be anything, actually. So, yeah. Let them type that too. And then in this case, the anything is an output in case of the frame, but it is not used. Because whatever they pass here as data, I think, is the same as this thing. So you might as well not use it, because, yeah, you end up in the member function of an object where you have access to that thing. Might as well remove this here. Or I like to see the name. You don't know what the type is, right? I mean, you can only know what the type is if you jump to wherever this is defined. And that's then going to be 10,000 times defined. So you kind of would have to go to output and then find frame and then find the event type, which is then, you can find that here. That is then WL experimental event type with WLR output filled in, and another template parameter events output frame. And now you still don't know what it is, because, well, it is an event type, but what is it? So it's all black box-ish. In other words, if I write output then here, then at least I know that it is an output, you know, probably a WLR output or a wrapper around that or something like that. But how can you find that out, that it is an output? So it would be nice if you could jump to the frame thing anyway. Now this is the frame event of an WLR touch, so you have to do next. Cursor, whatever that is, here's the output. So we have WLR output, frame, and then I see what it is. And this is being used, I think. Or is it? I'm not even sure anymore if this is being used at the moment. I would need a macro for that, to use this. If without a macro, the frame that you specify as the user, this one here, is this structure. This struct. So that's not the other frame. So how do we use that thing then? Oh, because this is, oh yeah, okay. This is a macro, and the macro uses it twice. So the struct is called frame. The signal name is frame here, or request state or destroy. So the struct has that name, but we're also dumping it here. So it's used twice, and then this here is the type def. That is the actual data type. So that's how we get it. But now this keyword here is generated. And my problem before was that if I generate code, then that is probably going to end up in a header that is going to be included. But there are so many events that there are a lot of events, but you cannot have them defined. So the WLR output is a struct defined by wlroots in some header of wlroots, but you cannot require from the user to define or to include the headers of all structs that have events, because in C++ many of those headers can simply not be included. It's such C code that the C++ compiler cannot include it anymore. They did divert C and C++ too much, and they're using that, so it's just not possible. So that means that if this is generated, then this cannot be defined. So it's an incomplete type. I do forward declare it, so there is some opaque struct, that's the correct word, so I can have a pointer to it. But the thing itself cannot know what it is. It's just some not defined struct yet. And this, well, that ends up as this, which ends up here as the first template parameter of event type. So what is event type doing with it? That is this thing. And that is being passed to event info as first template parameter. Okay, this is slightly painful here. Here we're actually using it, I think. I mean, if you just print a pointer, okay, but this is print pointer is also going to try to print contents, so that's not going to work unless the type has been defined. But okay, it's just debug code, so if I run into that, then maybe I'll find a way around it. I could make this, I don't know, it's a separate problem, debug code. That tries to print the content of the data type. Data type being defined as event info. So it kind of depends still on what event info itself is then. So let's go to event info. So far we did not use the definition of the WLR events container type. And we still don't, because it's not doing anything with it. Unless you specialize it. Yes, I have specializations for this thing. Not here, I guess. Yeah. I created specializations for these things here. And if I'm going to use this, then I would have to do this specialization for every type. But like I said, it's not possible to really do anything else than just forward declare these structs here. Now before I had an offset, and that was a problem, see description below the video. But I just replaced the offset with some random enum, and now the value is not the offset anymore. This is just a random enum, which has these things that have the same name as the signal objects. So the user knows what to type, but secretly they'll use this enum instead of the WL signal object. But they won't even know. They just type this and then they get what they want. So this here is now the, sorry, what do I, yeah, this is just an enum, a random enum, so that we can define all, you can define all names that exist, of course. And this is then the problematic thing, that we cannot define that. I did include a header here though, so this should not be needed, otherwise I get a problem. Then I have to include this for every WLR thing that is an events container. I don't think I can do that. So are we using it? Well, no, because it's only used to pass it on. So if you have this as an incomplete type, you can find this specialization, and then through the specialization, you get this enum again. Yeah, but it's called offset, but okay, I have to rename that now to ID or something. And we can print it, but this is only for debug info. Plus, I think I'm going to delete this. I'll just add a function that is able to print these things by name. Then you can get this ID and then print the enum simply for the debug. So this the only thing that this specialization now is doing is giving us the event data type. So that is kind of a replacement for what I showed before, actually. Let's pick this one. This is more clear. This is the data. The event data type here is a WLR output event request state, whatever that is. And if you go to request state, the name of the signal, and we find that back here in the namespace with the same name, WLR output, then that has a request state, which is actually a type def defined as that struct WLR output event request state. So before I found out what this type is by using that. But do I still need that? Because now I have this same thing defined here. Using this specialization. Yeah, it seems to work either way, actually. Okay, let's do the following. I'm going to which one shall I keep? I think this template specialization, well, trick, I guess, was an attempt of me to avoid using macros, but one that isn't possible, and two, I did hide the macro now. The user is not the one that's using the macro. Actually quite brilliant. No. How do I manage to confuse myself like this? Okay. I think we can do without this specialization. It's kind of ugly. Oh, I'm needing it for the signal name now. I'm needing it for this. I'm needing it for this. Wait a minute. So the point was we do get this type from somewhere else. We're using the macro. But I'm not sure about this one. So if the whole specialization is gone, then we also cannot find back that one. That is nonsense. Well, it's like literally there, so we already have it. Maybe we can do without the specialization. Is that possible? It should be possible, right? Okay, so in order to find out if we can do without the specialization, I'm going to delete each of these three, and then by the time we have deleted all three, we can delete the whole struct. That is the idea. I think that this is the most problematic one because it just spells out the string that I want to print. So we have to start with deleting the signal name and then not using that, but instead printing the enum by name, which means that one must be able to print the enum by name. So we're going to add here something that returns a character const pointer to string this output. I'm going to call it enum. I'll put that in a .cpp file, but for now I'll just inline it here, otherwise it's all over the place. And then of course we need a case for each of these three, and they will just return stringified version, and then if we should never get here, so I'm going to do here AI never reached. It is so never reached that it doesn't even have a semicolon, because you would never reach a semicolon anyway. And then here we get AI case return, and then just that, and those things do have a semicolon. So yeah, I use macros all over the place, as you can see, but sometimes they make life easier. This thing is defined as something that repeats the X. So you do a case on X and then return the stringified X. Which C++ version has introspection? I think they already added it. Maybe 23 or otherwise 26. I think you can do stuff like the magic enum, where you just get the name of an enum as a string officially now. So they can get rid of this macro as well, once that works. But I still have to do this or the magic enum hack, which I don't like with that much. And C++ 20. Okay, so now we have a function that can print these enums, which means that now we can delete this and then replace it with calling toString, yeah, for on the offset. And I'm going to rename the offset as well. Let me first do that actually. So we have offset here. It's no longer an offset. I'm going to call this the same as I call this one, signal enum. because it's an enum and it represents a signal. So definitely not an offset. Now we try to compile it, and then we get a compile error, and then I know where offset was used. Undeclared identifier frame. What? Yeah, but this is I use an enum class, which means that you don't know what frame is. You have to do output : frame. But if I use output : frame here, then it's gonna print output : frame. Maybe I want that, now I think about it. But that's not how it worked before, I just got frame. So if I want to do an AI case return with just frame in it, then I must make sure that it will find that. That is possible by doing using, I think just using output should work, or otherwise I'll have to look it up how I did that. Yeah, this doesn't work. Using declaration requires qualified name. Maybe using enum output. My last random guess. And that worked. Okay, great. And why the hell did that work? Because I renamed this. Don't tell me the whole offset was never used in the first place. Apparently I did not even use it. What? No, it compiles. Strange. Okay. Nevertheless, let's remove signal name. I'm pretty sure I'm using that one. Signal name. Okay, so there is no member named signal name. And that is used here. So instead of using signal name, I now want to use signal enum and then just call the toString. Well, otherwise you get some number. toString. And this now should compile. Pretty sure. Although I'm not super happy with let's try this. Yep, compiles. Now this printing is only necessary for debug code, so I'm gonna make this debug code. Now I can get rid of the signal names. Let's test that. Okay. And then fun begins, because now I'm going to get rid of the signal enum itself, which we just used just in debug output. It would be silly. Yeah, this signal enum was actually just that thing. So there's no reason to go through the event info for that. So I might as well just use whatever we passed there, a second template parameter. And now it's called offset again. I want to get rid of my offset. Signal events offset, how shall I call it? Let's just rename all of this again to signal enum again. No more offset here. Nope. That compiles. So that means that I can get rid of all my signal enums. Now, theoretically, the same thing holds, of course, for this one. Or not? No, it's not true. So this one is different, and you really need a specialization to figure out this type from these two. But we had another place where you can use it, and I have the feeling that that might be possible. So let's comment this one out and see if and where that goes wrong. It does go wrong. So I'm trying to find a data type from event info here. And here as well. And I want to find it from here. Now the only way to do that is by using some macro where you have request state as an identifier, as a word, as a whatever, something that you can pass to the macro. I'm not sure that is possible. I get it from here, but I already did get it from here with a macro. That was in the wlr double colon output object. So if I would have access to this output object instead, then yeah, that has, yeah, then it's also this, then they still need the signal name. I can't get this by using the enum either. The only thing we have is the enum. But I would say it's not possible to use this because I need in order to access this thing, and even assuming that I can get to that type, we still need the signal name as a random word that we can pass to the macro here. While what we really have, and then I have to look at where the compile error happens. what we have is this, the signal events offset. So it's again called offset, but that's the enum that we have. So the only way to get the event data type, this is an enum, it's not an identifier thing that you can pass to a macro and construct something else out of. It's really just an enum, period. So the only thing we can do is make use of a specialization and then get it. So the specialization is required. Otherwise this will never work. Can't get rid of this. But I also don't want to have duplicates. So then I want to get rid of the other one if possible. So let's try that. So instead, well, I want to get rid of this, the whole thing. So let's comment this one out and see where it goes wrong then, and then maybe use my specialization again. So at the point that we try to use this from request state, instead I want to use the event data type of the specialization of event info. And then I can pass whatever word we have as the request state, as events output word, if I have this type as well. But that's probably going to be the case. I'm just using it already in another generated file, I think. So we comment that one out and I have to comment this one out as well. Or fix it. Maybe just fix it. So this last one wouldn't work. Let's see. Declare listeners. Declare listeners splits it up into many calls to declare listener, passing signal name. And this no longer exists. So if at this point I would have the specialization, then I could use that. And why wouldn't I have that? Because specialization works with incomplete types, so we can do that. Yeah, if I change this here, then I'm gonna have to change everything, and I want to just do this for the experimental case. Just this one, just the WLR output. That is just WLR output, yes. So we can make a copy of this, I think. To what we're going to use. So call this again experimental then. And then I have to tag on experimental for that one case. Okay, I cannot find that back. I just do a little bit output. Yeah, this one. So just a listener for this one thing is now turned into experimental, which then will use this, and then we can try to replace this thing here with the specialization of event info. Event class, comma, events. But I put them in output. Of course, I don't have output, but fix it in a second, I guess. And where's event info declared? In WL. WL event info, event class, events, output signal name. The signal name is now really an enum, or is it still a name? In this case it's a name, but the enum has the same name. And then we have, we need some type and then the listener. And the type was, I don't know, for in the case of a specialization at least, it's event data type. This is not inside an enum, right? Okay, so this should work, I think. Provided that the events info header is included, but we will see. Not working. Okay. No member named event info. Well, that means that the header is not included. Now wait a minute, I need R because I need specializations. Unexpected name, space name, WLR output, expected expression. Experimental, exactly at the experimental it goes wrong. But maybe the other ones are not defined as namespaces. I'm totally editing this file. Oh. Yeah, I have to keep in mind that if I do the wrong thing, then everything will be lost again. It's just overriding this. Don't do the wrong thing. Yeah, okay. So I think the problem is that this is happening inside this namespace. So we declare a namespace, and then I'm trying to use it as a class. So I don't want to. I want this to be the actual. This must be the wlr struct. So I think if I put struct into it and in front of it, then it might work. I mean, it's like, hello, this is not the namespace. This is the struct. So not the case. Yeah, it's actually a different error. No member named bind in events output. It's so old. Who's using bind these days? Oh, wait. That's the name of a signal. There is no bind in events output. Now it wants a specialization for everything, or what? Because we only have request state and frame and destroy. But maybe I now have to define the rest as well. Yes, we do. So I have to define all of them. Unless I shorten this list, but that goes too far. Let's just add them all. So in events output, where that is defined, I really have no idea. One of the files I have been editing. This one. I don't think so. It was a macro. Client. So not. This one. Yep. Okay, the output.h, and then I need this list, basically. I could use the same trick here. Just use this, and then let this sequence here declare everything else. Otherwise I have to repeat all of that all the time. That's kind of silly, isn't it? So we're going to make a declare signal hooks with a capital S, and then treat that the same as the thing that we just redefined, which of course I forgot the name. Actually, there it is. Let me just look at it. Though the S thing is doing that. What is this event class? You just have one thing extra, I think. Get this R event class and then this list. Can use that for the, yeah, we can use that literally for the event class. I'm just gonna copy this and then adjust it a little bit. Plop. Declare listener becomes declare signal hook. And they have an R that we're going to ignore, and they get the event class, and it's actually the same thing as this, so let's keep it like that, maybe. Signal name, and then we need a struct, apparently. Struct signal name. Using event type is yeah, whatever. This with some changes, and then that, and the changes are event type. This is now the different name. This is now event class, and the rest was the same. So that was this. Declare hook. And then we do this one, which is declare hooks or signal hooks. Signal hook is that then does, we don't have that for each, and then the thing that we want to repeat, macro we want to repeat, and then I do just event class and event sequence. That should work. And then the way that is being called is then like that, and then here I guess the first argument comma the sequence or something like that, or I don't know, maybe. Declare signal. Why is this? Oh, never mind. I have to look how that thing is being called though. Yeah, just the sequence list is just passes as a second argument. Well, that should work. And if not, then I'll just get a compile error like this one. And still no bind. Okay. What is going on? In events output, oh, never mind, I get it. This list is not complete. Yeah, I'm inclined to also use the same sequence trick here then. Why am I sitting in the dark? Can't see my keyboard. This is I did the thingy, but I don't see a highlight. Strange. What is going on here? Did I not select it? Substitute A through Z or underscore any number of times. Still no highlight. I don't get it. No. Yeah. No. That doesn't work. No member named event data type. Okay, so that probably means that either we don't have the specialization, or the specialization doesn't exist. Well, guess what? The specialization doesn't exist. Now I have to do. I really have to do them all like this. Apparently, I don't expect that to be. Yeah, apparently. No, okay. Okay. Annoying like hell. Okay. This is listener. Let's edit events, stats, events, and then get the data types. Sorry, uncomment this again because no, let's keep it commented out. I'll first copy it. I just did, damn it. Copy, and then we comment it out again. And then I want to go to a different file, namely the file that should contain my event info specializations. These things. So I have to convert these lines into those specializations. Well, we start with selecting it, right? And then colon is going to follow, and then S, and then a slash, and then it becomes harder. I think we have to collect these things, of course, and these things. So let's just do space using space. A bit boring, but identifier. Whoops. A through Z underscore. That's the first one. Equals struct. I need the full thing actually, including the struct. Yeah, just including the struct. So that thing, and then anything but the semicolon. Actually, even the semicolon. So the rest. Is that too boring? Where's my star? Here. The rest. Okay, now it's empty. Brilliant. And I'm going to replace that with template. New line. Struct. Event info. WLR output. Comma. Events. Output. And then I'm not sure. Yeah, probably like that, and then Control V, Enter. Control V, Enter. Using event data type is \2. Okay. These were now duplicated. It compiles. Okay, what does that mean? That means that I can get rid of the whole events thing, I think. Because I commented this one out and it still works. In fact, we did all of them, so I think I can now delete this whole thing. This file is generated anyway. Let's just delete it. Okay, no longer needed. It doesn't even crash. It's calling register event for the 3 things that we have. Event type, frame, request state, and destroy. Yeah, absolutely perfect. No, I think this is working. So maybe just move to the experimental case. So make the experimental case the real case. Probably also not used. Can I figure out what this is? So now I go to output, and then this is for a request state. There's no... this was now only defined in event info. It's not as easy to jump to then. Not easy at all. Now what? Yeah. Can I remove the, I mean, we are inside the same class. Normally you would, yeah, normally you just always specify the class. So I probably should do this. I wonder if we can remove it though. Cannot even remove it yet. Must explicitly qualify the name. I had that feeling. Kind of weird, of course. That, well, we are inside this class, so that just demands it. Good. Then, so this means we have a thingy that has events. This is just having events. And then we declare callback functions for the events that you want to use. There's many events, but you only use these 3. And they are quite straightforward in the sense that you can pick any name you want, and then this is just the same. This must be the name of the event that you want to use, and then it follows event type const reference with anything you want. And then you have to call register event with that thing, and then the object that you want to call a member function on, and the member function itself. That can be the current object or another object, doesn't matter. In this case, it would call of course, these member functions. Hence this. Otherwise, yeah, well, it's going to use this to the same object to call that member function. Yes, callback. And then, of course, the callback itself. And then we have here something else, but that is commented out. I need to fix it though. And that's it, right? So let's remove this. The register event is then specified in the event client class. So it must be derived from that. Okay, and here must come code that cancels all the event callbacks. So it means that if there are any event callbacks, they must be cancelled. And of course, this class can do that. So it should have a look at what the register event is doing and then undo that. I mean, register event, cancel events, basically. So this is just going to be cancel events. Must be defined, however. So we have this class here, the tiny WL output, which is derived from the WLR event client, which has the register event defined, and I'm going to add to that a thing called cancel events. So what is register event doing? Nothing. Zero. Nada. It's just printing that it is being called. Okay. Yeah, I have to fix that still as well. Actually, there was one other thing that was that is still required. I should go make dinner as usual. I used output somewhere. Where, or what did I do? Output, huh? Yeah. Output somewhere. Here, I think. Or here. What is this? That looks not correct. What? Well, that would be correct for output. So as long as this is only used for output, then that would work. But what about these are also correct, of course, because this is just literally related to output. But this one, that's the one that I meant. I just put output here, but it can't do that. Now, if this is the if this would be the event class name, then it would work. Maybe that's what I should do then. Can simply do that. Why not? So turn this thing into name. That is something I used before, right? Let me see, I have that somewhere. No. How did I call them? Events container, I think, then maybe. Events container name, yeah, I use that. Just start using that. Events container name. WLR underscore hash events container name. Now I have two underscores. How stupid. Yeah, something like this. Yep. And then output is simply the events container name. But then we have to pass that also. So this must be the events container name now. Therefore, this must be the event container name. And therefore, everywhere where we use this, we must pass the events container name, which is just output. And then the question is, where does the word experimental occur still? Nowhere. Well, I don't know what that is. Is pointer like? X underscore experimental. So this is generated. The other generated file is no longer used, I think. And then we have 3 files here. Those are not generated. I think that actually one of them now also needs to become generated. Which one does not need to be generated? This thing is completely new, so I just have to drop the experimental here. Because all event type now must be like that, and then I can just put it in namespace WL. And then we have this one. Yeah, oh, this file must be generated. I must we get many files now. One for each events container. This works, of course, but I kind of want to stick to passing just output here, because then it looks more like the other code. Which means that this is again the events container name, and we can just pass it on. Why not? Now I have to turn that into a type. Struct wr hashtag. Yep, like that. Is this still necessary? Event info. Not unused. Blasphemy. So there is something that is having state, and it looks like an output event request state. There's a cursor. So a lot of states. Ik kan niet vinden het. WLR output states. Beats me. Something went wrong. The window is empty. It's not drawn. That's different from what it was before the last change. The last time I ran it, which is not that long ago, right? Oh no, it's black again. Oh my god, why? It's some kind of a race condition. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work. I'm not going to blame my code. Damn it. Very unreliable. And this handle, if I move my mouse over it, it calls handle. Why? Because I'm pretty sure I suppressed that somewhere in the past. It's a WLR pointer motion absolute event. Cursor. Okay. But still. Alt escape is not working. Unhandled X11 event. Destroy notify. Definitely need to make that work. Well, I don't know, man. Feels a bit like I'm losing the overview of what I'm doing. It's not good. Not good at all. I'm going to make dinner though. Or at least I'm going to heat up my oven. It's pizza time again. There will be light. Oh, that thing is beeping. That is so annoying. I never hear that if I have my headphones on. Yes. Hey. Okay. Yep. Let's generate everything. Fix the generation rather of everything. Yes. Difficult. I should remove them, because I also have to delete, so they get regenerated. Both are regenerated. So now I can see what I did edit. Did I edit events? That's listener. Whoa, what's that? Whoa, no, wait, events. Listener events. I got all scared. Move. What kind of nonsense is this? Listener events is what? Listener events. Oh, that was events. Let's move that to events generated. Events generated. Div, and then I want to make a div from listener to listener generated. Okay, so the difference here is that I removed the wlr underscore, and I changed this, and I added an event info here because that is used. And info is also WLR. Okay, can live with that. So you can do this. You can do this. The event generator. VI event generator read me. We are talking about generation of listener.h, generation of events.h, and listener.h is performed from custom rules in the offsetof source, blah blah blah. Copy. Okay, so really we have to just look here. And then we see that listener is generated by calling generate.sh. That is what I have to edit. I completely forgotten that. Yeah. And that is also not doing anything. That is actually does calling. Oh, it's copying the header thing, and then running generate. Okay. The header. We're talking about listener, right? This was listener, yeah. Okay, so the header needs this to be added below events, for example. And the W, that is really generation, and this is also header. So you need to replace these macros with this in the header. It smells good. Which is impossible because the pizza isn't in the oven yet. Oh, oh, oh. Not good. Well, I'm just kidding. The pizza has been unpacked. It's just still cold. Laying on the kitchen counter. How do you call it? So yeah, I just remove the experimental and then I think I have what I want, right? Shoot, 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 shoot. Right. Well, that would be easy to test. I just run make. Well, why not? Then run make. And then we run the diff again. And then we see that indeed something has changed. Not the way I wanted. Yeah, this was added now. This is of course not necessary anymore. And here something changed. Oh, the experimental is now removed. Yep, yep. It looks good then. So you still have to remove the WLR. What the hell? Where's my LS? LS event generator. There. PI. Generator. That is printing ID. And ID should have the WLR underscore removed from it. Where do I get the ID from then? ID was read from the file. The input file. Okay, let's not change that then. Dot substring starting at 4. Is that working? Yeah, good evening and goodbye. I'm going to have a look at standard string. Substring. Position, yep, that's what we want, just position. 0 is then nothing, so 4 removes 4 characters. No, look good. No more WLR in front of it. It did beep a while ago, didn't it? I just have to put pizza in. Let's have a quick look here. No, just everything looks good, I think. One newly generated thingy. Be right back. What is indexing? The other one I don't need anymore. Events. Yeah, kind of don't need it anymore, right? Additional headers including it. So that's still necessary then? I don't think so. Edit the header. Remove listener events, I mean. Regenerate. Now it's in the old listener still. I'm done with that one. Remove it. And we still include it here. Which you can also remove them. Now it's gone, which means I probably didn't even edit it. Didn't look at the div yet. Events and generated event. Yeah, I just removed that to show that I don't need it anymore. Well, great. So now we can remove it. And then I have to make sure that it won't get generated again. So look again at how that would work. Okay, I can just remove this one then. However, could still do this, but then it would generate many header files. Kind of need that, and if I do that, then I need CMake to know about it. So I need a complete list of everything, or at least all the header names, I'm afraid. Or I have to generate this list as this file. Oh, nah. Probably possible. Just read a file with read a generated file with all the event container names, and then use that to construct multiple custom commands. That's advanced CMake. I'm afraid I have no idea how to do that. Ah, that is possible. It would be kind of cool to learn how to do that. Let's do a Google for that. Mastering scene. Can have a look at it. What's with the dollar stuff target value? Why is it needed? I'm not using it. Should that be word? Yeah, so for each. It is dinner time. Okay, I'll be back later.